If you're a Star Wars fan, well, unless you've, I guess, been hiding out and not letting, being aware of what's going on in the world, like, certain tech members, you're well aware of the controversy surrounding the latest Disney Plus offering, The Acolyte. It is, late June, early July 2024 when I'm recording this video, and this is a huge topic of conversation amongst the internets these days. A lot of people looking at things like Rotten Tomatoes, which is now corporately owned, and how the dichotomy between what the critics and the audience are saying is just getting more and more, well, I guess distant, with 15% of the audience liking it and 84% of critics. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. I mean, I'm a big fan of Jedi, and I love that there's yellow lightsabers now, kind of like Luke's original toy. And I get the whole thing about, space lesbians. There's nothing wrong with space lesbians, but that's kind of become the rallying call. Now, what's going on? Why is The Acolyte not hitting with fans? Some people look at it and say, oh, well, it went through so many reshoots, they had trouble editing it together. There's other people being more direct and just saying it's a lot of wokeness, pronouns and LGBTQ. I think I messed that up. LGBTQ, yeah. Or is this, Star Wars for girls, which has been a major, very clear thing Lucasfilm has been doing since they bought it. Well, as one of my favorite sea shanty singers, Thomas Benjamin, says, this is shit. This is shit. And, it's because the show itself just isn't very good, I think. It's not about racism or being woke. It's just not very a good story. In my opinion, but there is a very clear way to understand whether or not it's a hit, because the whole thing, is Rotten Tomatoes accurate or not? Well, there's been racism in Star Wars since A New Hope. This guy called Chewbacca a thing, right? Racism is not new to Star Wars. Acolyte is not the first time racism has been addressed. So what kind of meter can we use to understand whether or not the show is actually working? If Rotten Tomatoes is fixed, if everyone's saying, people are just attacking the show and saying it's racist. Well, there is a very easy way, and it's through the magic of children. Children tell us what they like very clearly, and this show is meant for kids. All Star Wars is meant for kids. So how do kids express what they like? Well, the biggest way they do is with t-shirts. This is something that the toy industry looks at a lot, and if you start paying attention and looking, when you drop your kids off or just seeing kids in malls and stuff, whether you have kids of your own, what children decide to what's called billboarding. That's the industry term. They billboard on two things. One is t-shirts, because it goes wherever you go, and it's a way of expressing what you like. You are literally a billboard for something. And, obviously there are kids out there that choose to wear Star Wars t-shirts, and that's fantastic. Are they wearing t-shirts of The Acolyte is kind of the more direct question. And if you see this, then yes, because kids choose their shirts. Some parents, I guess, force their children to wear certain things, and we can't count those kind of situations. It has to be, not through, no pun intended, force. It has to be a t-shirt that a child is selecting on their own. And you can tell that, what parts of Star Wars fans like by the, based on this. Do you see a lot of prequels? Do you see a lot of Disney movies? Do you see a lot of original trilogy? The other big way kids billboard is through backpacks. It's especially with elementary school, this becomes a huge part of your life, and what you choose to put on your back and, say to the world, I'm a fan of, is a huge deal. So, yeah, backpacks, t-shirts, and the third one, not going to images, but Halloween costumes. Pretty obvious what kids choose to be on Halloween. Those are the three indicators of what kids like and whether or not they're into a property. Okay, so that could take, obviously it can take a year before kids are asking for, Acolyte backpacks, or at least until the fall. Will there be some? I don't know. But is there something more in the immediate? Back in the day, we were pretty much, wearing Star Wars shirts all the time. Now, not as much, but kids still play with toys. At least I really hope they do. And beyond billboarding, playtime and what kids choose to play with is the other huge indicator. And we can learn this simply by looking at Amazon. Look at the Acolyte figures that are selling on Amazon. They're selling at, 600, 300, 200, and this is, when I took these screenshots, this is accurate. This is within the first month of pre-sales. So, May got 100. They did it 103 and 3/4 Mays. All right, well, you're like, okay, well, you're cherry picking. You're just, these are new figures. Of course, they've only sold a little bit at first. Well, let's look at what the, direct competition is doing. Probably the best way to understand the industry is looking at least, two different companies and their offerings. All right, well, Marvel Legends. Oh, look, this new Cabal pack. 8,000 units sold in the last month, and this was put for pre-order about the same time. Here's the new Marvel Legends Wave that was just put out last week. 2,000, yeah, all of these. So, yeah, Marvel Legends figures are selling in the thousands. Acolyte figures are selling in the hundreds. Super simple, but this is a really, really good way to understand the popularity of a show because people are only going to buy merchandise if they like the entertainment. And, I mean, that's a pretty obscure Wolverine. I think that the vintage box set for Acolyte is going to be a real good indicator because this is, going to kids, it's going for nostalgia, it's going for collectors. Do kids even play with Star Wars toys anymore? I'd like to say yes. I think that there's fewer than there were back in the day. When you look this up online, you find, PR shots instead of the actual shots of kids playing with toys like we used to have in the 80s. Although we didn't have the internet to look that up. Either way, I hope this video was useful for understanding how kids express their interest in a property. So yeah, t-shirts, backpacks, and toys. So look at the sales of toys. It's amazing how it can give you an insight into whether something's working or not. Forget Rotten Tomatoes. And if you like this video, please do share it with others. It's the best way to support this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.